recent years have been working on a couple projects. Let's talk about the most recent one first before we go to some phone calls.
Really, if you look at, yes, I've been doing these books. One is called The Professors, and the other is called Indoctrination U. And I'm just finishing another one, and probably will do one more. And, you know, this sort of just happened, but when I look over my writing career, I can see, I mean, it's a theme from the beginning. The first book I wrote was about universities. My book on reparations, my reparations campaign, Uncivil Wars, which is at the bottom of the bottom. Pile,
Thank you.
the very bottom, is really about the universities. It's about what happened when I tried to place an ad, which was a really, you know, an ad that was meant to stimulate a discussion about whether reparations should be paid for slavery 137 years after the fact, and paid to people who never were slaves, and paid by people who were not slave owners or not even, their ancestors weren't even in the country when there was slavery. I just, you know, try to start a discussion. And
this is just 5 years ago.
Yeah, but that's the beginning of my academic, and what I realized, I mean, I submitted an ad called 10 Reasons Why Reparations Are a Bad Idea and Racist as well. And I submitted it to 71 college papers, and 43 rejected the ad. And they rejected it because of its contents. And then when I attempted to speak on campus, I went to the University of California, Berkeley, which is one of my alma maters. I was a grad student there. The chancellor, I asked the chancellor to introduce me because I said, I know your campus is out of control, and for the safety of the students, you should be there or somebody from your office. He accused me of provoking a dialogue no one wanted to hear. Now this is an educator. And then he assigned 30 armed police for that event. It was a disgrace. I mean, and I suddenly saw that on our campuses there are issues that you can't discuss, that people will shout you down, and just happened to Columbia recently with the Minutemen, that you cannot discuss the borders issue in a university. What does that say about the university? And what does it say about the administrators that they don't expel students who obstruct speeches like that? I mean, if you don't have the decorum to have a civilized intellectual discussion, where else in America can you do that? Everywhere else, you know, it's a political food fight. So that began me, that experience with the reparations began me on a course. I devised an academic Bill of Rights, which is just a basic liberal document. It just says there should be two sides when there's a controversial issue. That speaker shouldn't be obstructed. That's one of its principles. And I was viciously attacked by the American Association of University Professors and other academics who called me a McCarthyite, said it was Orwellian, and presented it as trying to regulate professors, which is ridiculous. I mean, professors sign contracts which in which one of the presumptions is they're going to follow scientific method and they're going to be professional and not indoctrinate students. They're going to teach them, which means presenting them when you have a controversial matter with more than one side. So I found myself, I thought this would be a pretty brief campaign. This has been 4 years now that I've been doing this. And this book, Indoctrination U, is about the attacks on the Academic Freedom Campaign. And I'm sad to say that recently, just this last month, the American Association of University Professors has turned its back on a 100-year history of defending academic freedom and is now defending indoctrination in the classroom. It says if an academic discipline says it's true, then it's true. And in particular, they're defending women's studies, because the women's studies departments, and I've studied a lot of them across the country, presume that gender is socially constructed, which means that environment determines the characteristics male and female. Now, this is to put the best foot on this point of view. I mean, you could say, well, this is a point of view that you can argue, and every professors have a right to argue the point of view. But it is a contested one. Neuroscience, evolutionary psychology, biology, all have shown that there are genetic and biological bases for some of the male-female differences. And Steven Pinker has written quite a famous book called The Blank Slate, which discusses these. But what the American Association of University Professors is saying is it's all right for women's studies departments to teach a very controversial view as though it were the truth in a classroom, if they say it's the truth. Well, that means that, for example, intelligent design is a point of view about evolution. If the intelligent design people establish a department at a university, they can teach intelligent design to students and tell them that this is the truth and give them grades based on how much they appreciate the truth. Or, we can extend that, and maybe we get a department of conservatism somewhere, or, you just could go on and on. If some racists establish a department and say, racial inequalities are genetically based, and this race is genetically inferior, they can teach it as though it were the truth by what the AAP says. So this is, to me, one of the most important battles that this country faces.
You chose 101 professors across the country and called them the most dangerous academics.
My publisher called them the most dangerous, but I have to live with that. Authors do not, titles are a marketing device, and therefore a publishing company, when they insist on it, they do. There's about, I can't remember if it's 13 or 15,000 or 17,000 word essay in that book, which explains what it's about. I don't even use the word dangerous in the 113,000 word text. What this is a portrait of professors who are political activists, not scholars, or who believe that political activism and scholarship is one and the same. Now, a scholar, an academic, the word academic means that you kind of suspend, you don't prejudge conclusions. When you say something's academic, it means it's debatable. That's a kind of use of the word. So we expect scholars and teachers in universities to have a certain disinterest and dispassion when they approach a subject. I went through my entire university career without ever hearing a professor express a political view in a classroom. I would warrant
even at Berkeley.
Even at Berkeley. I would warrant there are no classrooms that are free from that now. I remember my professors would always, be in a devil's advocate position. They were teaching us how to think. It's authoritarian societies that teach you what to think in a classroom. And I have, that is a portrait of 101 professors, and I estimate there are 60,000 like them, and I give the reason in the book, who confuse politics with teaching and with scholarship. And they want their students to reach conclusions on controversial subjects that they share, and they indoctrinate them. And that book created a storm probably as big as the reparations controversy.